All right, let's talk about two words that get thrown around all the time in finance: stocks and bonds. We're going to break down what they actually are and, more importantly, what they mean for your money. When you hear stocks and bonds, does your brain just kind of shut off? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. For a lot of folks, this stuff sounds super complicated, maybe even a little scary. But I promise you, when you boil it down, the basic ideas are actually pretty straightforward. So our whole goal here is to just cut through all that confusing jargon. We're going to get right to what these things actually are, in plain English. Let's dive right in and start with the absolute basics. Okay, so here's the big secret. When it comes right down to it, the difference between a stock and a bond is really just about one thing: owning something versus loaning something. That's it. Let's dig into what that actually means. So let's talk about stocks first. Buying a stock means you're buying a tiny, tiny piece of an actual company. You become an owner. Think about it. If you buy a share of, say, Apple, you literally own a small fraction of the whole company. It's like getting a slice of the pie. And of course, if that company does well and makes more money, your slice of the pie gets more valuable. Pretty cool, right? Now, bonds. They're a whole different ballgame. With a bond, you're not buying a piece of anything. Instead, you're acting like the bank. You're loaning your money to a company or even the government, and in exchange for that loan, they make you a promise. They'll pay you back the full amount later on, plus they'll give you regular interest payments along the way. So you're the lender. Okay, so owning versus loaning. Got it. But why does this even matter? Why should you care? Well, because understanding this one simple difference is basically the first, most crucial step in figuring out how to make your money work for you over the long haul. And listen, this isn't just some boring textbook concept. It's super practical. Knowing when it makes sense to be an owner and when it's better to be a lender, that's how you start making really smart decisions. That's how you work towards your big goals, whether it's putting a down payment on a house, saving for retirement, or whatever else you're dreaming of. All right, to really nail this down, let's put these two side by side, a head-to-head comparison. This is where you'll really see the pros and cons, the trade-offs you make with each one. Okay, take a look at this. It really spells it all out. With stocks, ownership, your potential for returns is way higher. The company could take off and your piece of it could be worth a lot more. But, and this is a big but, it comes with higher risk. The value can go down too. Now look at bonds, the loan. The potential return is lower. It's usually just a set interest payment, so it's more predictable. And because you're a lender who is legally supposed to be paid back, the risk is generally much lower. So, this risk and return thing leads a lot of people to think in black and white terms. You hear things like this all the time, that bonds are totally safe and stocks are just a trip to the casino. It's a common idea, but honestly, it's a little too simple. So let's bust that myth right now. First off, are bonds 100% risk-free? No, they're lower risk for sure, but not zero risk. For example, the interest they pay might not keep up with inflation, meaning your money loses buying power. And there's always that tiny chance the borrower can't pay you back. On the flip side, is buying stocks just gambling? Absolutely not. Gambling is based on random luck. Investing in a stock is making a calculated decision based on the real value of a company and its chances to grow over time. It's about research, not a roll of the dice. Okay, so we've got the definitions down, we've talked about risk, and we've busted a couple of common myths. So, now what? The most important part is turning what you now know into something you can actually do. So, what's one simple thing you could do, like right now? Seriously. We're not talking about some huge, life-altering financial move. It's much simpler than that. It's all about just starting a habit. It really boils down to two things. Step one is just the decision. You just decide, okay, I'm going to take control of this. And step two is the action. And that first action isn't about stressing over picking the perfect stock or bond. No way. It's about building the muscle, the habit of putting money aside. Maybe it's just setting up a tiny automatic transfer to an investment account every week, even $5. It's about building that foundation. Once that's in place, then you can start thinking about the right mix of owning and loaning for you. And you know what? Just by getting this far and really understanding this core idea, owning versus loaning, you are already way ahead of the game. Seriously, You're now equipped to look at the world of finance with so much more clarity and make much smarter choices for yourself. So we're going to leave you with this one question to think about. Now that you have this knowledge, now that you really get the difference between being an owner and being a lender, what's the first smart decision you are going to make with your money? Thanks for watching.